On January 16, 2017, a routine cargo flight from Hong Kong to Istanbul was preparing for a stopover in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. This was Turkish Airlines Flight 6491, operated by a Boeing 747 cargo jet. On board were 4 crew members, carrying tons of goods. But on the ground, just beyond the runway of Manas International Airport, a quiet village was about to be thrust into a nightmare. The weather that morning was challenging, with thick, dense fog drastically reducing visibility. This kind of weather isn't unusual for experienced pilots, but it demands absolute precision. As the massive 747 began its final approach, something went terribly wrong. The aircraft was meant to lock onto the airport's Instrument Landing System, or ILS, a radio signal that guides planes safely to the runway, especially in low visibility. But for reasons that would later become clear, the crew failed to capture the correct signal. Instead of following the proper glide path, the aircraft was flying significantly higher than it should have been. This was the first critical error in a chain of events. The pilots, likely disoriented by the fog and fixated on their instruments, didn't realize their altitude was incorrect. Then, the autopilot did something unexpected. It captured a false glide slope, a phantom signal that can sometimes appear at a much steeper angle above the real one. Believing they were locked onto the correct path, the pilots allowed the autopilot to begin the descent. But they weren't descending towards the runway. They were descending towards the village of Dochasu, located just past the end of the runway. The plane was now on a collision course, not with the airport, but with the homes of sleeping residents. In the final, frantic seconds, the ground proximity warning system blared through the cockpit, alerting the crew that they were dangerously low. The pilots finally realized their catastrophic mistake and initiated a go-around, pulling back on the controls to climb away. But it was far too late. The massive jumbo jet was too low and too slow to escape its trajectory. The aircraft's landing gear and engines struck the first houses, and the plane disintegrated as it tore through the residential area. The impact and resulting fire were devastating. In the end, all 4 crew members on board lost their lives. Tragically, they were not the only victims. On the ground, 35 people were killed in their own homes, including many children. The investigation later confirmed the series of pilot errors, the false glide slope capture, and the crew's failure to monitor their altitude as the primary causes of this heartbreaking disaster. Thank you for watching.